What made you decide to run? Not run, stand for truth for the people of Kauai in Migeso for Mayor, the sequel.
Oh, that's an easy one. The time is now to return governance back to the people of Kauai County. So I'm running to improve the quality of life of the residents, all residents of Kauai County.
What do you think makes you stand out?
Well, I'm not a lifetime politician because most of my competitors have been involved anywhere from 10 to 16 years. And during my time here, everything has gotten more expensive. The quality of life hasn't improved. The infrastructure is still a problem. So I'm a former businessman, whether it be small business, large business, bar and pa stores. I have an executive background, domestic and international, in business management, crossing all industries, all walks of life, from finance, banking, insurance, retail, wholesale, cable television. So I have a diverse background. I worked nearly 20 years in New York City. And I'm also a life coach, and I coach soccer, youth soccer, not here, but former soccer coach and soccer player. So I'm a people person, and because I like people so much and I love the culture here and I love the island, and I came here to have a quiet life, away from the politics, if you would, away from the hustle and bustle of the city. And I've watched Kauai now develop through the infrastructure, that it's all about special interest and globalist ideology to expand Kauai into a city. And we're the Garden Island. We're the food producing island. So that's what I want to see. I want the people's governance where local people are involved with making decisions on what's important to improve their quality of life. Like my administration, we're not going to sit behind a desk in an ivory tower. We're going to be out meeting with the people at the neighborhood centers and in their communities to find out how we can best take care of not only the infrastructure within their neighborhoods and communities, but how to improve their quality of life through problem resolution. I was successful because my words and actions match. And that'll be the same of my team and the administrators and department heads. We're going to be people-oriented.
What would be your message to people who suggest you don't have name recognition or extending this kind of power to someone who is not considered local or a native Hawaiian?
I've been involved with the local community since I've been on the island, from the people and maybe in the sovereignty movement of hearing their concerns and working with them on their issues. I'm constantly listening to all the county council meetings. I do that through Hawiki TV or through the internet, where I can fast forward through all the non-important issues where they're just rambling. So I'm very involved and very knowledgeable about all aspects of the island. Well, Migeso is a name that was given to me by one of my teachers. Means eagle. So eagle means you have vision. And I have a vision of how to improve the quality of life here. My name, William, means protector. So one of the things my administration will protect the retained rights that the people have. Retained rights are rights that did not come from government. Those are your unalienable God-given rights and your natural rights. And we're also going to protect the constitutional rights of the people, the Hawaii State Constitution, the Federal Constitution, Hawaiian Kingdom Kaupaiaina Constitution, which all recognize unalienable rights. So those rights are important because we're talking about protecting freedom of choice, medical freedom, parental authority for our ohana, property rights, and all the enumerated rights we have. Our county and our state has infringed upon and usurped fundamental rights of the people. And that needs to stop because the government is the people. Government serves people. People do not serve government. And my last name, Dennis, means I'm very creative and open to new ideas. I've always had an open door policy. It's always been my way to address things. I believe in accountability. Politicians talk about transparency. That's an easy thing to say. I'm more interested in accountability. Are we delivering what we say we're going to do for the people? So I believe I have support already from all different factions of people on the island, whether it be the local Hawaiians or some of the Howleys, as they refer to us, all cultures, Filipinos, Japanese, all the cultures that are here, because all people rights need to be protected. So I don't believe in separation. You know, we may have political ideology differences or medical differences or whatever. I am a firm believer in freedom of choice, and everyone is entitled to their opinion. And then we come together in resolution. So I don't believe in problems, I believe in solutions. We put Dennis first because when you're on the ballot, they always list your last name first. So on the ballot, it's Dennis, comma, Miguesa Williams. So that's that approach. And I'm very reachable. My phone number, anybody can contact me anytime. I'm open to hearing what people have to say. I'll be going around the island doing town halls, meet and greets, door to door, whatever it takes to help people get to know me. I have a pretty good name recognition in a lot of different areas.
Do you have any children living here?
No, my children are all grown, no children living here. I have 3 children. I have 2 girls and 1 boy. My wife is deceased. My life's work is part of our collective vision because we always believed in world peace, if we would.
What role can we play in world peace?
Everyone needs to take their own authority. It's not for me to tell you what to do. It's for me to share knowledge or share opinions or share ideas. Then it's up to you to make that individual choice of what resonates with you. So we don't always agree with everything, but I believe in self-empowerment. That's how we move forward together as one people.
What is your relationship with the current county council members and other candidates?
I do know there are 3 parties that are running. We have serious ideological differences because they're more for corporate control and government control. I'm more for people control. And then their background proves that. I mean, it goes back to way back to 2010 when Bernard was mayor. He was involved with bringing the islands together way back when climate change was an issue with Barack Obama, and Governor Abercrombie tasked Kauai with that program. And here we are 16 years into the program, and how much money has been spent and wasted, and what have we gotten in return? How has that benefited the people? And Mel was openly on Facebook Live during COVID and other things, talking about arresting people, jailing them, and $5,000 fines. So I don't know how he can represent all people on this island when he's actually disassociated and disenfranchised them for probably half the island. And he's been involved a long time in politics. And as a lawmaker, whether it be Felicia, Mel, or Bernard, you should know that mandates are not law. And when you swear an oath to the Constitution, and you're in the legislative branch who makes law, you need to know what the law is. So I also teach the hierarchy of law on the national podcast and in local conversations, because the highest law is creator's law, and then it goes into other laws. See, people's retained rights are never forfeited or waived, even in the time of war or a perceived or a real pandemic. You cannot take away people's retained rights because they didn't come from government. So right away, during that phase of life, they were telling people you can't go to church. I mean, that's your God-given right. You can't stop people from going to church. You can't force people to wear masks. You can't force people to social distance when there's really no scientific evidence that supports that. And I have a certificate in biotechnology manufacturing, so I have a little bit of knowledge of scientific method and what that took. And Mel Raposo is also a chief investigator. Now, the chief investigator is supposed to investigate. If you're going to lock down an island or force people to do certain things, you better have knowledge because you're the chief. So you're supposed to have the highest knowledge of anyone of what's going on. And we and others brought him irrefutable evidence to look into and investigate during COVID, and they bypassed it. They just didn't address it at all. So if you're not going to investigate, why are you an investigator? As a former policeman, you would think he would know mandates are not law, and you would think they would know the Constitution. When I investigated the oaths of office of our county council people and our mayor and others, they swore an affirmation to do their job to the best of their ability. Well, that means at least following your job description. They didn't even follow their job description during these crises because they're not really in charge. The United Nations took a good firm hold of our island back in 2010 through the International Council for Environmental Issues, called ICLEI. They renamed themselves since then. So we're under programs, and some people were rewarded under those programs for following the United Nations rules. One of them got a trip to Russia. So that again is taxpayer money, and that was not authorized. Bernard also had a skeleton in his closet regarding stealing of gas. So these people should not be rewarded for the things they've done. Even during COVID, they voted themselves a raise while the people are living paycheck to paycheck. Not proper. You're a government official paid by the taxpayers. People are suffering paycheck to paycheck, and you're giving yourself a raise. That does not play well, and the people will not forget that. So again, when I'm out there speaking with the people, I'm going to be speaking common sense knowledge that you're the government people. How can we serve you? We're not afraid to make decisions that benefit everyone, but we need to know what the people are actually thinking. So when they have a county council meeting, the things I've noticed over the years is they call the people in for their testimony. But I'm also smart enough to know that those decisions have already been made before the people even give their testimony. They have to check a box, and one of the boxes, the people have to have testimony. So it's all a big facade. We've been lied to most of our lives from government. Even in our education systems, it's more an indoctrination system. We need our children to be children again. We don't need them to be experiments for government. They need to be playing in nature. They need to be learning the math and the sciences and the things that are going to serve them in life. I also believe in vocational learning centers and project learning-based centers. Now, we have some vocational centers here on the island currently. I'd like to expand those and create new ones because children learn in different ways. In the school system, it's audio, visual, or hands-on. But there are children who are kinetic. There are children that are expressive learners. There are children that learn in many different ways. And so we need to allow them the opportunities to grow themselves to their full potential, to guide them, not to force them, not to lead by memorization, to allow them to be freely out there experimenting and learning what their passions in life really are. Because what happens is a lot of our locals move off the island, not only because they can't afford it, because there's no opportunities for them here. We need to keep them here, and we need to expand our farming, our agriculture, because we should be food independent. Sustainability is a buzzword. Affordability is a buzzword. We need food independence. The natural resources belong to all the people. We need to take back control of our natural resources. We need to remove the toxins not only from our food, but from our air, our land, our water, our natural medicines, and the minds of the people. It allows the freedom for people to create. And when we're creating together, we can do great things. See, we live in a world of duality. So there's always going to be yes or no. There's always going to be a Republican and a Democrat, and throw in libertarian, progressive, and others. There's always going to be right and wrong. So the one thing that we see in life is when life is created, it takes a masculine and a feminine energy to come together. And when that energy comes together and creates a life, whether it be an animal or a human, that's when life is created in that union. So when we can start working together in oneness and stop the world of duality where the left brain and the right brain are in conflict with each other, we're in a time of higher consciousness. So once we get to that stage of oneness, there isn't anything we can't overcome, because we're limitless and endless beings of creation. We're being stifled by the controls and regulations of government. Look at our small businesses. During COVID, these politicians that are running against me, they're responsible for the closure of and loss of over 40% of our small businesses. We need to encourage the growth of small business. We need to provide programs that are reward programs or incentive programs, regulatory relief, so that local small businesses can expand, and give additional credits to those who are buying, selling, and promoting local Hawaiian-made goods. Our small business is the crux of who we are. So when tourism comes, they're going to the local businesses. They don't want to buy their goods at Walmart. They want to buy local Hawaiian-made products. The regulations that are put on us by county government and state government stifles the small business, because again, the three main opponents that I know are totally against. They'll talk about small business growth, but everything they do is for special interests, non-governmental organizations, and the growth of the corporations. We have 932 non-governmental organizations on the island of Kauai. They have $1.07 billion in assets and $456 million in revenue. That's on an island of 72,000 people. So you can see how everything's distorted. So who are we serving? And why our government officials need to be out there with the people. We're not sitting at a desk to be worshipped and adored and to vote ourselves raised. We're to be out there and make sure that people aren't living paycheck to paycheck, that they have food on the table, locally grown, healthy food, natural medicines to heal the problems that we have. And even in our homeless community and bringing them back, we need to have housing that not only gets them off the streets, but facilities that can deal with their rehabilitation if it's drugs, mental illness, the amount of strain that's been put on the people over the years. And it needs to be affordable, and we can do that because there's so much technology out there to build not only tiny homes, but tiny homes are actually 2 and 3 bedrooms now and more. We can affordably do that. All it takes is removing the thumb of the United Nations special interests and non-governmental organizations from the people. And I know how to do that. I was successful in building. Our company dealt with mostly government contracts in the beginning. General Instruments was the largest Fortune 500 company. And I started out at the ground floor of the business systems division and ended up being the head of operations for the entire country, and also did special projects dealing with potential customers that would be lost, high revenue customers, multi-million-dollar customers. But at the same time, I knew where the resources that were most important to me were the people that were doing the installations, because we were in the computer service business, high-end computer equipment, networking. But it's the people who drive the business. Who knows more about the problems in the county of Kauai than the people themselves, not the people sitting behind the desk. It's very important to me to do that due diligence where we're out there with the people. I'm not like the rest of them. I'm my own person. Again, being not a politician, I can't be bought. My ethics are very high. My standards are high because when you go to a company, they have policies and procedures, correct? If you just meet the policies and procedures, you might get a raise, right? Standards of an organization, you can exceed those standards as long as you're not infringing upon the fundamental policies. And when you can show that out-of-the-box thinking without infringing on those policies, you get promoted. So I went from installing to area manager, regional director, to head of operations in independent. So, and that comes from the people. The frontline workers can destroy your county, can destroy your business in 5 minutes, just by speaking badly of the organization. So that's why it's important not only to know the people you're serving, but the people who work with you as well.
What are your thoughts on residents that think there should be term limits? This is Bernard's second time running for mayor.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know what he accomplished in his first round, and don't know what he's accomplished as a county council person either, because we don't see it. The people don't feel it. More people, locals, have moved off the island than come on the island. We're bringing in more billionaires. So I understand stakeholder responsibility and shareholder responsibility, but all I've seen in the 14 years I've been here is stakeholder benefit, not shareholder, not people benefit. And Bernard and Mel and Felicia have been involved in that for 10 to 16 years. What policies have they brought forward? Felicia hasn't brought any. Felicia is good at meeting with the local community, but you got to also produce. She was the head of public safety during COVID that put the signs out at the airport that said, "Keiki, get vaccinated." Keiki didn't need to get vaccinated. They had a 99.1% survival rate during COVID. And as we know now, as most people know, COVID was really the flu, and it's still the flu. It's not a pandemic. It was a manufactured crisis. So all our county council people at that time, knowingly and willingly, went against their oath of office, knew that mandates were not law, and were promoting propaganda, misinformation, and disinformation. The most egregious offense that the three of them did was they withheld known therapeutic cures from the public of ivermectin, HCQ, zinc, sunlight, monoclonal antibodies, all things that could have maybe saved lives or saved people from debilitating injuries, but it was all pushing towards an experimental vaccine that was not approved by the FDA. So the people were guinea pigs. We know there were three types of shots, so some people only got the placebo, and some people got the Pfizer or the Moderna or the Johnson & Johnson. So it was all experimental. So in my administration, we're going to be sharing people both sides of the story. This is what this means. This is what this means. You have the freedom of choice to do this or do this. I'm not against vaccines. If you want to take a vaccine, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine as well. But don't put people against each other that the non-vaccinated are killing the vaccinated or the vaccinated are killing the non-vaccinated. That is ludicrous. Racism, I haven't seen racism in all my years of life. And I've gone through a lot of cities and a lot of countries because I have international experience as well. I worked in Europe for a year. So, and their trends are 10 years ahead of what happens in the United States. So we see the things that are coming. We know the things that are coming. And now they're trying to keep people away from their spiritual beliefs. Whatever they believe in as God or spiritual beliefs, that's their personal choice. You can't infringe upon that. But it's another form of separation. And I haven't seen Bernard, Mel, or Felicia bring that unity together. Some say we told people in the background that this was okay. No, you should have been in the foreground. I was in a debate with Derek Kawakami where he said, I can't go against the governor, I'll lose my job. Well, right then and there, you're telling people you're not working for the people. You're more concerned about your job. And that's the same that I'll say about Mel, Bernard, and Felicia. You are more concerned with protecting your job. They had to sign a verbal or a written non-disclosure agreement to keep that knowledge from the public. And that is against the law. So if they did a verbal or a non-disclosure, that's a felony. And again, I know the law, I know the Constitution. And you say, how do you know the Constitution? When I was in the 8th grade, I refused to go to square dancing class. And as a penalty, I had to go to the principal's office for the rest of the year and write the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution. That was my penalty. I didn't know it was preparing me for today. God has put me in a lot of positions, and my faith is very strong, and I've had personal miracles and triumphs from my faith and spirit. So I'm strong in faith in my morals, values, and principles, but I also protect the morals, values, and principles of others. Because some of you say, well, they need government. Yes, some do need government, but some people abuse government. When you're out there with the people, you know who needs what, and you know who doesn't need what. The idea, again, is to promote the individual authority of each person. When I talked with Derek Kawakami, I think it was 8 years ago, he asked me, he says, well, what do you think, why do you think people are so bitter, meaning the Hawaiian culture? I says, the people are bitter, not only from the overthrow of things, there is no opportunity. If people had opportunity, if people's bellies are full, if people are happy, they're not bitter. We want everybody, as best as their abilities are, to be contributing members of the county. We should be having county events or quarterly. Veterans Center belongs to the people. We could be holding concerts or events there at least once a month or maybe quarterly. Free. And that's a benefit to the people. I mean, why? We're always taking and taking from the people. The taxes are too high. We need to find a way of tax relief. That's another area to easily look at. What's your budget experience? I go, you know what? I manage many budgets, multi-million-dollar budgets at different levels. I go, the government budget is no different than your home budget, because the majority of your budget is salaries, income, and expenses, and benefits. If you can't keep within 5% variance of your budget, you're not doing a very good job, because you already have the fixed knowledge. So the only thing you got to do is control your expenses. So one of the things my administration will do is we'll look at wasteful spending. We're going to look at wasteful spending on special projects or government projects that aren't needed, and reallocate those monies back to projects that benefit the people, that improve the quality of life of the people. So you see, everything we talk about, our focus is back to the people. So I don't call it a campaign, I call it a movement.
How can we get past the division that's keeping everyone divided?
Yeah, I think part of that, when it comes to media, whether it's social media or print media, or legacy media as we call it, is the people feel they're not getting both sides of the story. That was really prevalent during COVID, because the media did a disservice in general during COVID as well. Their own fault, but from trusting government. And your job is to get to the facts. And I don't care which side they fall on, as long as they're factual. The media is so important. It's so important. And if the media is printing disinformation, it doesn't serve the people. If the people lose trust in government, they rely on the media to tell them the truth. And if the media is in alignment with government, then the people are done. The people have no out. They're slaves. We've been slaves to the system beginning of time. We're actually breaking away from enslavement now, and we're going through growing pains that's causing people to get angry and upset over trivial matters, of basic disagreements that we used to be able to sort out over a cup of coffee or a breakfast or a lunch. People just don't even want to talk to people anymore. We need to build relationships. That's the key. So, and some people don't like in my social media, I post mostly laws. Look, this law is being broken by government officials, but nobody's held accountable. If you or I broke that law, we'd be in jail.
The issue is both sides of the story aren't being represented. What are your thoughts? Shouldn't everyone be aware of the facts?
Well, isn't that what media is about? That everyone should be included to know what's going on? Because a lot of these policies, a lot of these things are predetermined. Do you believe that what's taking place out at the airport right now is really just an Amazon facility coming? It's the expansion of the airport, because years ago they wanted to expand the airport because they want a million more tourists on the island. Our infrastructure can't handle what's here now. You can't even complete the Waialua Bridge project that's been going on as long as I've been here. That bridge could have been built in less than 6 months. I believe that's a money laundering operation, just like the train in Honolulu. Yeah, these are all money laundering operations, and that's special interests. 932 nonprofits, non-governmental organizations on Kauai. What department do you think would be the most corrupt? It's the Department of Transportation. And the reason is simple. They control the movement of people. And once you control the movement of people, you've enslaved them. I think you'll find over time, and this is what I'd like to get into when I say wasteful spending, is digging into where the money is going. No one's ever done an audit, and when they do an audit, it's done by somebody. I don't want to say a local can't do it, but it's done by someone that's biased. The elections integrity with the state. So I go on there, I give testimony. Oh, here's another piece of knowledge about me. Our equipment, remittance processing equipment, is optical character recognition and optical mark sense equipment machines, similar to the voting machines. I know that they were communicating to the systems because they would take their zip drive and then they would upload it, and our votes went to Texas. Why are our votes being counted in Texas? I also know that Hearts Intercivic, who manufactures the machines out of Texas, is also associated with the other voting machines around the country that were in question. Voting machines can be manipulated. I know that the voting machines are not the way to go. I know paper ballots can be manipulated. All you're going to do is change the size of 1/4 of an inch. But so I have voting machine knowledge, and I actually wrote back at the last election to Scott Nago and all of them and asked for certain parameters. I go, readability statistics, maintenance statistics, software updates. They gave me nothing. I did a FOIA, and I got nothing in return. So I know it's corrupt. When I talked to KHON TV, they called me up, and when I told them I had voting machine background, they hung up on me. Nobody wants to know the truth. That's why I'm in the race, because at least I'll get the truth out. Most people are watching local news, which only tells one side of the story. So it's very controlled. Another fact, during COVID, I was arrested for not wearing a mask when I was on a public sidewalk with 3 other people, and we were actually socially distanced. And I know why I got arrested, because I was teaching the hierarchy of law and that mandates were not law at meeting houses, at buildings, and they didn't want me teaching the truth. See, that's a retained right. If I don't want to wear a mask, that's a personal choice that people make. The other thing on Hawaii, especially Kauai, we have all the natural medicines right here. We should be growing more. Why? Where they want to put Coco Palms, the new hotel, that's a medicine haven. All the natural medicines go right up Wailua Valley, right up Kumamoa Road. That's what should be being produced and more, to get people, some pharmaceuticals are good, but to get people into natural medicines. So as we're stripping away all these things, as people are freaking out for various reasons, the knowledge is all there to take us into the new golden age. And the truth is, we're all enslaved to this day. And that's what we're trying to break down. We're trying to give, that's why, again, why you got in the race. It's time to give power back to the people. They've been here. And most politicians, when they get elected, once they're elected, they're already planning on being reelected. And that's not my thing. My thing is to get in there, do what's right for the people, listen to the people, and then after that one term, maybe walk away unless people want me to do more. But my intent is it's time for a change. And one of the things Felicia said in a recent thing that we were at a forum together, and she said, I want to continue on with the policies of Derek. Well, there's a clear difference right there, because no, we're not. We're going to move the policies to the people. My message is to everybody is to do your own research, think for yourselves, find the truth of who you are, because once you know yourself, then you can begin to see things clearly around you. And if you're always being led and you don't know who you are, you don't really know what's going on, because you're only following the masses. Claim your own authority. That's what I'll say. Claim your own authority. My parents were great. They not only taught us respect, but they taught us how to honor things. So respect is a two-way street, but being honorable means that you care about more than yourself. And that's the best thing we can do is to, what's that saying? To lay your life down for another is the greatest sacrifice you can give. And we're not here to be martyrs, but we're here to put ourselves out there to say, take control of your life. It's nice that you're out there protesting, and I believe in peaceful protest, but I wish the people would protest the things that are wrong in Kauai. Kauai's never been conquered, and you're turning Kauai over to the globalists, corporations. What are you doing?